If you could all stand up for me, please. Hell yeah. Yeah, give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
That's good. We'll try and get the energy up for the last hour. So we're going to call up Mr. Andrew Smith. So if you could please put your hands together. Where Andy Smith? Andy? There you go, mate. Fantastic.
Where do you want us to sit, mate?
I'll move these chairs. Yeah, thanks, mate. And what we're going to do for the next 60 minutes. Now, we've spoken about lots of cool stuff. And really, what I'm really cautious about with this program is, and you probably know yourself, Andy, that a lot of the times when you go to programs, they'll tell you why things are good. So they'll tell you why outsourcing to the Philippines is good. All right? It's more cost efficient. You can save time by getting someone who's an expert, much smarter than you, to do it. And after 60 minutes, you'll go, yeah, that's really cool. Then we go, thanks very much, everybody. See you later, bye. And you go, but hang on. How do I do that? Don't tell me why it's good and why it's important and why I need to do it. Show me how to do it. What are the steps for me to hire myself either a full-time virtual assistant or utilise other programs that are out there to outsource things you need? So, Andy, you've outsourced some tasks, haven't you?
Yes.
Within your business. How many websites do you have?
So I have about 120 websites at the moment. So there's a bit to do, yeah.
Do you want to explain why you've got 120 websites?
Yeah, so what I did was going back about 4 years ago, and I suppose this is why it's so important to be in these style of groups, because it can keep you that one step ahead of all your other potential competitors as well. And about 4 years ago, probably about 6 years ago now, that I at an event like this in Perth, I met up with a guy that was doing the internet and doing SEO. Everyone understand what SEO means? Search engine optimization. And I got involved with him, a really lovely guy, and he was doing a lot of work with my Dr. Drip website to get us to #1. And we were lucky there for a while. We were #1 for Plumber throughout Australia and #1 or 2 for Plumber Sydney. So we were doing a really good job of getting a hell of a lot of work. But another one of the mobs up in Sydney built this killer website. And I don't know if you guys know too much about the internet, but on the website, at the base he had Plumber Bondi, Plumber-Bondi, Plumber-Ramwick, etc. And what he was trying to do was trying to dominate that space, so if anyone ever types in that word, they would go to his website first. And it was very clever. And at that time I can remember sitting there thinking, crap, this guy's going to really, because I knew a bit about the internet, I thought this guy's going to really rock this, you know. So I was really concerned. And I thought, well, what can I do? And just at that time, I thought, well, he's putting Plumber-Bondi on his website. I might just go and buy the domain name and go that way. So I had a chat with my guy in Perth, and I said, listen, what do you think of this? And he had a look at it, and he said, well, there's not much traffic. So you can have a look to see how much traffic's going to these for those keywords. And there wasn't a lot of traffic there. And I said, you know what? I only need one person once a month to go there and book us in a job, and you know that's the way it all started. So we got 110 of them, and I built a website for every one of them, and that's how we started, and it's been pulling in a heap of work.
Yeah. Reason for that?
Got more batteries?
Yeah, that'd be great, Paul, if you could.
You've got like just Plumber Bondi, Plumber Randwick, Plumber.
Yeah, that's right. Now, the beauty of that, going back 4 years ago, obviously that was direct key. That was the direct keyword, because I don't know about you guys, but I thought about, and this is about niching down to know what your customer wants. And I thought, well, if a customer's going onto the internet and obviously, and you want a plumber in Sydney, and we ranked well for Plumber Sydney, but you don't really want a plumber in Sydney because you want a local guy, right? So I thought, well, what would someone type in? So I did a bit of a survey with friends, and a few people said I'd type in yellowpages.com.au, which surprised me, but that's what some people would do. And then I realised that quite a few people would put in plumber and then the suburb where they live. So at that stage, I thought, you beauty. So that's why we went ahead and did that. Now, in saying that, 4 years ago, it's been a killer. It's been so out of those 110, organically, we were number one for about 95 of them, and all I did was build a 5-page website. So, and I'd made a pretty silly article that I got a lady to build an article for each page. So it was a 5-page website, a $20 article for each page. So I was ranking number one for most of those. So it went very well. Google now has brought in different rules. As you know, there's the pandas and the penguins, and there's a lot of different things happening with the internet that we're very up to speed with. But direct key match domains aren't as powerful as they once were. You can't just buy a keyword like a block drain or a plumber Bondi and expect to rank number one. So you actually need to put work into it now. And that was another reason why we're over in the Philippines, because we need to do a hell of a lot of other stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
In saying that though, if you guys have got keywords that you know down here in the Illawarra that you know that this is about knowing your customer, that people might type in, then I would recommend going and getting those domains still today.
Yeah, awesome. So we've covered why Andy's now got an office in the Philippines, and he's got over 100 websites. So who's got a website here for their business? Right, cool, excellent. I'll go back to my story of, we've got a soccer teamwear brand called Number 10 Teamwear. Had it for 8 years. We've got a website which I designed myself, and I worked with a company up in North Sydney, an IT company, because I couldn't get anybody down here to do it. Okay, so I went up to Sydney, and they gave me a scope of 35 grand and 6 months to do it. Now at that time I didn't have any kids, right? Quote was 35 grand. By the time they'd, according to them, finished the website, it nearly cost me $100,000, and I'd had 2 kids. And every time I arced up, every time I said, this is not on, this is what we want done, this is what we agreed to, I had no leverage. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Dixon, this is not what we agreed to, this is it. If you don't pay another instalment, we can't go any further with your website. You can't. Yes, you can. You're doing it. I had no legs. I had nowhere to go. They had done all this code, and they'd gone far enough with that website that it was too hard for me to back out. So I kept feeding it and feeding it and feeding it, and they kept taking it. What a problem, all right? So it cost me a lot of money. I got a reasonably good website that wasn't quite finished, mind you. Anyway, then I found out about outsourcing to the Philippines, and a few conversations with a good mate of ours, Pete Quist, suggested that I put it on what they call a WordPress platform. Okay, has anybody heard of WordPress? Joomla, Drupal, they're all platforms for your website. Yeah, you don't really need to know, you just need to be aware of it. So Pete told me to shift everything, go to the Philippines, and they'll move your whole site onto a WordPress platform, and you can do whatever you want. I said, well, I wonder how much that's going to cost. And he said, oh, maybe $600, $700. You can't be serious. Mate, this thing's cost me a bomb. More hassle than you could imagine. I had a business partner at the time, and he was putting a lot of pressure on me as well. What's happening to the website? What's happening to the website? I don't know. So anyway, so now we've got virtual assistants in the Philippines. I've got 4 virtual assistants that work for me. If I want anything done, all right, now I'm going to give you a live example in a second. I just send them over to the VAs to get them done. So, to give you an example, what I wanted on my old website going through the company in North Sydney, I wanted half a dozen testimonials just written on my website. I wanted them to create a testimonial tab up the top. Because that's cool, you have written testimonials. Yeah, people say you got to have that. All right, that's going to cost about $3.5 grand. It's going to take about 6 weeks to do it. All I want you to do is create the look. Yeah, I understand what you mean, Mr. Dixon, that's fine. We've got a clear understanding of what you're after. They gave me 10 sheets of paper of what they were going to do and baffled me with some jargon in there. And I thought, well, I need this stuff on there. I've got to do it. So anyway, it cost me that much money. So now working with the VAs, and there was this good-looking bloke on stage this morning who, and this is purely just for this exercise, I just grabbed the camera and shot a video.
For Dr. Drip.
All right, just with my SLR down the back
We
there.
have systemised everything 100% through our business.
I've heard this.
Oh, shit. And this is
You look taller. That's a video. On the website. Took an hour to do that. I put the video on there, I downloaded it to my Mac, and then I uploaded it to YouTube. Then I've sent my VA a message via Skype. Everybody knows what Skype is? Yeah? Anybody who doesn't? Tell me to stop if I talk something you don't understand. This is too important. Sent her a message via Skype and said, there's a video in YouTube. Here's the link. I'd love for you to upload it to my website. Took her 2 hours to do it. It's been sitting there for the last 3 hours. Virtual assistants in the Philippines, our full-time VAs, and it can vary how much you pay them. I pay my guys between $125 and $175 US 1 week, per week, for a full-time staff member. That's somewhat, I don't know, guys, tell me, how much $125 get you a week, your industry? Half a day of someone? Yep. Couple of hours, maybe? Or half a day, couple of hours. Right? Yeah, plus everything else, super workers comp, everything else. $125, that there could be a video testimonial of one of your customers saying, Dan McAllister from Independent Landscapes did such a wonderful job. I started out with this bare area in my garden and I asked Dan to come and have a look at it. He gave me a quote, he said that this was what he could do, and he did some great sketches for me. And now you could actually video this, and now this is what Dan has done for me. This amazing area that we can now enjoy with our family, listen to the beautiful birds and just feel that family, environment on your website. 3 hours. Get that off. What do you mean?
Photo of me in my cozies. Can you get that off?
Enlarge the photo of you and your gozzies. Enlarge. Oh, no.
That's what you pointed it out
At this. So, Andy, what's the difference? What's the difference between a pregnant woman and a terrorist?
No comment.
You can negotiate with a terrorist. So, that's what VAs can do. So are you guys interested to know more about this stuff? Who wants a website that they can use quicker? Yeah? They want to make more money out of. Because everybody knows the internet's where we're going. Tomorrow we've got Troy Dean coming up from Melbourne, specifically to speak here on internet marketing. Troy's going to do a live session, a test case with someone from here, which I've only had one person actually say they want to do it yet. So they're front running at the moment. We've got 2 now, thank you PJ. That we will get them up here to work on their website, okay? Right, so where are we going to go from here? We're sort of ad-libbing, but I don't mind it.
Can I ask a quick one? Why the Philippines? Why was the Philippines the destination?
Okay.
Why are you promoting that?
They speak English.
Sorry?
Why are you promoting like the Philippines as being the key? Is it just the fact that that's where you are and that's what you know? Or?
Yeah, a bit of that. But I think the thing is with the Philippines is the Americans have had a very big presence there for so many years, so their English is very good. And if you notice the difference of, and I'm not being racist in any way here, but the difference between an Indian person on the phone, telemarketer, and a Filipino, it is chalk and cheese. Chalk and cheese. And the Filipinos that I have, you obviously pay more for someone who has better English, to be honest. But I could get her on the phone now and we could have a chat with her and you would hardly even know she was a Filipino. You would hear something there, but she's got a very American twang because they love Americans. Because America's been there for quite a while, I suppose, with the war and so forth, and they've just been grown up on the American culture. So for me, so how did I get involved with it? Well, we're in Thailand actually, and I've been hearing about VAs for a very, very long time. And there is a bit of a mixed response with VAs, and I'll be really honest about that. especially now that I've been to the Philippines, I know what most VAs get up to, not all of them. But I was hearing a lot of great feedback about a VA. And I thought, what a great scenario to have someone that can work for you a bit cheaper and look after your websites, and there's so much they can do. It's not funny, maybe it's the entrepreneur in me. I just went, you know what? I don't want a VA. I want an office. So call me mad, and sometimes at the start I thought I was mad. It's not easy setting up necessarily, and you'd know more than me, but it is very interesting setting up a company in a third world country. It is really interesting, and our manager that we have there now, she is just absolutely amazing, and we're just lucky. You know, her uncle was the mayor of Cebu, and her other uncle, they have a million uncles, but other uncle's the head of the federal police, and you know, but they've just got so many connections. You know, so she's really looked after us, and I talked about my internet buddy that was in Perth, and I came back from Thailand and I thought, you know what, I'm going to set an office up in the Philippines. I don't know why. But when I rang him, he said, I'm moving to the Philippines. And it was just one of those things. And I said, great, will you go over there and let's set up an office? And he was wrapped for that. It was good for him. So he'd been there for 6 months and he hadn't really done that much, just trying to settle in, I suppose. It is a big culture shock. And then I flew over there, and within a week, I dragged him from Manila down to Cebu, and we found our office space, and pretty much away we went. And that's how we got all involved with that. But you can outsource anywhere, you know. But I still think the Philippines is a pretty good culture. They're very good with their English, which is great. They're still at a very good price, and their YGen coming through, there's so many of them coming through that the price will still keep fairly low, but the Filipino economy is doing quite well, so their dollar will probably rise. That's probably our biggest, I wouldn't say fear, but that's something that probably happen moving forward.
Yeah, beauty. Any questions? All right, let's make this really interactive, guys.
So what do you get them to do? Your website, whatever.
What are some of the tasks? Is that
Okay.
some of the slides?
Hey? Oh, you just did. Where did you get them from? You said you didn't have slides. Okay, so what I mainly, geez, you're good. So what I mainly get them to do was my websites was the big thing, okay? I knew that Google, Penguin, Panda, the Penguin 2.0 just came out yesterday, if you didn't know about that.
What's that?
Oh, okay. Okay, let me just explain. There's Penguin and Panda. Does anyone know what a Penguin and Panda is? Okay. So what happened is, it's a little bit of a story behind this, but Google itself, why did we all go to Google?
Search.
To find, we ask a question and they give us the answer, right? And in majority of the time they give us the right answer, yeah? What was happening was people were manipulating Google. Like all good marketers, you're trying to manipulate to be the best you can. And what was happening was some companies overseas, and I'll mention India because that was one country that really seemed to take it to another level. You're typing in a question for red shoes, but they were building these killer websites that they might have been selling hairdryers. So when you were typing about red shoes, the hairdryer sites were number one because of how they were buying links and buying these thousands and thousands of links, poor quality links. So what happened, Google's like, well, it's actually affecting our brand now. So when you go to look for something, you're not getting the result you want. So they had to bring in some updates to stop people from doing that. Does that make sense? Yep.
It's just to protect.
Yeah. To be honest, the difference between Penguin and Panda, I'm not 100% sure on, but I know that Penguin 2.0 came out yesterday. And if you have a website, you could have a look to see if it affected you or not.
Yeah, cool. You know, guys, what we don't want to do is get caught up in jargon for this little session, okay? As I know it's important and everything else, but really, what are the things you want to know about outsourcing? Because we can stand here and I can show you all my websites now are done with the VA. So my Breakthrough for Business website, who's been on that? Yep, built by the VAs in half a day. Sent them the images and everything else. All right? Not difficult. What do you guys want to know? Do you want to find out how you can find a VA? Yep, Rosh?
Yeah, so I want to know how you might find them, whether I could just use your office.
Yep, we'll duck over there with...
And obviously kind of tasks, and I'm very interested in, are they capable of taking phone calls, and how I would reroute what looked like an Australian call to them.
That's easily done. So to answer that is, can they take phone calls? The answer is yes. I mean, with VoIP, you can pretty much plug your phone out of here, plug it over there, and away you go. What I'm looking at doing, so we asked earlier why I went over there and set up the office. There was a few reasons. The one was the websites. The other one that you might know, I've got the business Lifestyle Tradie, and we're helping tradies all over Australia. And I know that with new technology, most of the tradies can't keep up. So my idea is to build the systems that I'm using in my business, and then I'm going to start having VAs for my members. So they're going to have a graphic designer, a website designing, and then we're building a whole business around my members, that community. So that's the main reason why we are over there. In regards of incoming phone calls, you know, you do need to spend probably up to $1,000 a month on someone. I know it's still not a lot of money to have someone with half decent English. But you can do that. I'm looking at setting up an after hours phone setup, because a lot of tradies hate answering the phone in the after hours. A lot of them still run a 24/7 business, a lot of the people we deal with. But the thing is, at a certain time at night, they don't want to deal with the word dickheads ringing up. Now, when I say that, there's a lot of people prank calls, and you get a lot of crap through in the night, 1 a.m. and so forth. So if I could have someone answering that, it just takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
So
Filter it.
And filter it. And the phone system, everything I'm setting up at the moment is that if someone gave us, say for instance you gave me, and I'm not saying that I can do this for you, but if you gave me your number, or one of my tradies did, when it came through on the phone, their name of their business would come up, and she'd answer it that way, and she'd be able to decide on to send it through to him or vice versa.
Yeah. So VoIP, utilising VoIP.
Yeah.
Skype, not so much.
I think, I mean, you could still use Skype, but,
Not as effective.
well, no, you can use Skype. But I suppose for me, for my industry, most people are ringing a phone number on some marketing, and that's why it was easy to come through. They're not Skyping.
Yeah.
But you could set it.
Phone number. Yeah.
But I think the VoIP's probably the better way to go in regards to that.
So and really to chunk down that even more, what would you need in the Philippines then? So just say Rosh wanted someone to answer the phone for her.
Yep.
She can forward that through.
And I want them to do something though. I actually would want them to perform a task.
For sure.
Based on the phone call.
Yep.
Yeah.
They can easily do that. I mean, you've got to remember that most of these people that we hire have double uni degrees. They're actually smarter than us, but what they do lack is the English capability sometimes. So you need to find the real good ones that may have worked in a call centre, may have worked overseas and they've come back home. You've just got to find the good ones.
Yeah.
But you can easily do that. It's not a problem.
And when you talk about $1,000 a week,
Month.
a month,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
You can get. I've got one in the States that works for me, and she charges me per call she takes.
Yeah.
And utilising, that's why I went to America to get that service,
Yeah.
was because of the time difference sort of thing. It's
Yeah.
perfect when I finish up at 8 o'clock at night, just
You know,
go straight over to her,
We've got a few barriers, but the biggest one is here.
I don't care. Yeah, I'm
Is it-
over that.
Yeah.
And
But,
I
but,
even think the language thing for the basic task I'm thinking about. No.
yeah.
I think the thing you want is when someone rings, you don't want that call delay. Because what happens is a lot of these call centres, they throw them. You have a room this size. I fit 150 in there, and they're that close, and you can hear the others talking, and the internet connection's poor, and the setup of their phone systems is really poor. Because as soon as any of us Aussie hear that delay, we're all of a sudden got the shits before they've even spoken. We go, hello, hello. Now, hi, sir. Oh, fuck,
It's Robert
okay.
from Melbourne.
Yeah.
All right, so is that cool? Are we there? So VoIP, and what do they need as far as equipment on their end? So
Well, the way the VoIP works is you can get a VoIP phone set up here, and you can plug that into any internet service anywhere in the world, and it still works.
yeah,
But you just need the quality of the internet.
yeah. All right, it's that easy. Paul.
With commercially sensitive documents, how do we go with intellectual property and securing documents?
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, I think, everyone thinks Philippines or overseas, they're going to hack in and steal everything you got. they're a really good race. You know, they really are. But I have mates of ours or someone we know.
Yep.
I went over and visited his office. He's an accountant out of Sydney, and he set up his office in Clark in the Philippines. And so he's doing all accounting practices. So it's all through Xero and, you know. So, you know what? I think we have that. You've got to be careful how much you give them, I suppose, and how much information. But it's like anywhere. I mean, you can have a staff member hear too much information.
There's no difference.
So, yeah, I mean, I think people are wary of it. I mean, if you're doing bookkeeping or mortgage broking or finance services, I mean, I think you do have to be careful, but you have to be careful here too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no difference. Well, storing the data is probably in Dropbox or somewhere more secure.
Yeah.
It's covered by laws, but if it's covered by, you have all your data housed in a server overseas,
Yeah.
then you're not necessarily protected by Australian legal provisions.
Yeah, and you know what? With virtual assistants, it's the same as your staff here, and you can testify to this. Do you treat your people well? They'll look after you because what you're doing, you're actually feeding their family. And you think, well, $500 a month isn't much. $1,000, $1,500 a month isn't much. You know what? To them, yeah, it is. And you're putting food on their table. You speak to them nicely. Yeah, I get frustrated with my guys sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Why wasn't this done like this? But you know what? You manage it like you would anybody in your office. Guys, we need to improve on these key areas. They'll look after you.
You need systems, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you don't give them systems, they've got to have it, because they just want to please you. Seriously, they just want to please you, and obviously you know that. And it's always, yes, sir. I mean, you're treated like an absolute rock star when you're over there. And the thing is, if you just give them that little bit of love, they just...
Whoa.
You don't like this, I know.
What do you mean, a little bit of love?
Oh, come on. I'm a married man. No. Now, what I mean is, you've got to give them that... You know, you've got to reward them and make them feel a part of the team, and not just that they're just some person that you're shit-kicking and giving them no money. Like, you've got to really make them a part of the team. And, you know, they have direct access with our Dr. Drip team as well via Skype, so you've got to make them... But if you make them feel welcome, geez, they just love it. And, you know, it's a great...
Yeah. We're international people. We're like Richard Branson to them. We're international, we're in Australia. The land, you know, the lucky land. So, yeah.
Can I just add a point?
Yeah.
The systems is important, what you're saying. The culture over there, and I've dealt with the Philippines for 10 years in the 90s, and Indonesia and China in 2000. The biggest challenge that you'll have is that they want to please. So when you ask them a question, can
Exactly.
you do X?
Yeah.
You'll
Yes.
almost invariably get an answer that
Yeah.
says yes.
Yes, sir.
But the problem is that yes actually means yes, it means no, and it means maybe.
Yeah.
And it also means if you're lucky. Right? The problem is the only answer you get is yes.
100%.
Systems are what's
100%.
important, because if you've got the system in place, then the yes is we'll follow that system and you'll get the solution you're after.
Yeah.
But if you just ask them to do something and they don't really understand it, they'll tell you yes and you don't get what you're after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I quickly might, so we're going to go through these slides in a second, but what I'd like to show you very quickly is a project management system that we use. So we're talking about systems that we implement into our businesses. Oh gosh. Actually, I'll come back to that. It's called Teamwork PM, and Andy spoke about it earlier. Is you set milestones for your... So write that down, guys, Teamwork PM. The website is teamworkpm.net. Pardon? It's a website. It's a project management tool called teamworkpm.net. Basically, you throw out tasks to people, and anybody who's tried to manage a number of people will understand this. I'd like you to do this, Mike. I'd like you to do this, Tony. Judith, I want you to do this. Emma, I'd like you to do this. Okay? Go forth, if you can, please, and deliver. Excellent. Now, you do that with enough people. 4's challenging enough. But then what you want to do 1 week later is you want results and you want an outcome. Probably with the VAs, it's a little bit more challenging that you need to set milestones and you need to track. You need constant feedback from your team as to where they are within that task. So what I do with my guys, I'm constantly setting milestones for our Breakthrough for Business website, for instance. I had 12 testimonial videos I wanted done. I want you to let me know when you've done 2. I want you to let me know when you've done 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Because if they're going to make a mistake, you want to catch it at 2 rather than at 12. And if there's problems and challenges, because if I said to them I wanted 12 videos on there, I think, well, that might take 3 days, and we might agree it's going to take 3 days. I'll back off, and I won't communicate too much with them. And then after 3 days, I say, okay, where is it? How are we looking? And they go, yeah, about that. I just was having trouble with the first video that I couldn't get the XYZ to stream. Why didn't you tell me that? We've just lost 3 days of time. Oh, well, you know, I've been trying to figure it out for the last 3 days. But if I say, okay, at lunchtime of that first day, I want you to have 2 videos up on the website, we can nip that in the bud. 6, 4, we can go from there. Any challenges? So you've got to be really specific. And Teamwork PM will actually allow you to monitor tasks and get feedback on tasks as they move forward. I actually find that really valuable. And the bigger your team is, the actual harder it is to manage if you don't use some sort of project management software. Yeah. But we'll
Does
go.
Teamwork PM work like they log into it as well?
They do, yeah.
So they're working off the same project, making timelines and you set for them in the same piece of software.
That's right. So I'll upload a task to Teamwork PM and I'll say, yes, email them with that task. So the email shoots through to them saying there's just been a task uploaded for you in Teamwork PM. And then they action that. Yeah. But we might work through these slides if
Sounds
you like.
good, yeah.
Sorry, quick one. So they will take a concept through to the final product as well, not just if you have a website, they can make the changes and do the
No.
and all that sort of stuff.
They will create a website for you. I started a new brand last week. They had a concept design, domain name. So even if you guys said to me right now, we want to buy a domain name, you're thinking about doing NLP on the wild side. I want to register www.nlponthewildside.com.au. It's a Skype message. Is it available? Yes, it is. All right, can you get it for me, please? That's it. How else are you going to do that? Even myself, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to go, you know, I could probably figure it out, but I
Come
don't
on,
want
Steve.
to. Yeah. I don't want to figure it out. I want to send a message through to someone else to do it for me.
And what does it cost over there to host a website compared to here?
To be honest, I don't know the hosting companies, but we always host our sites in Australia because it's better for Google.
Better for Google.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah.
So can we do a few more of what the tasks are that, like we've had phones, we've got websites?
Yeah.
Yep.
What
Okay.
other
Well,
stuff?
they can do bookkeeping. There's no doubt about it. And one of our mates takes photos of every receipt he gets and just sends it straight through to them, so they reconcile for him. They can create content for you as well for your websites. They can help with videoing. They can help dealing with basic emails. If that's depending on your business, they can answer. If you do a frequently asked question that's on your website, they can answer those email questions, and if they don't know them, then they can send it through to you. Basic troubleshooting.
Yeah.
Yep.
As long as you write it down, this is what you got to do. Artwork. Two of my biggest bugbears was graphic design and IT. Getting people to do that for me. Getting ripped off in Australia to get my graphic designer to do a flyer for me. Absolutely killed. That'll cost $1,500. And are you serious? And then modification will cost you more money and everything else. Wow, are you serious? These guys for me, here's a concept. This is what I'd like you to do. You know, I'm that vague. I need a VA. Because I'll go, there's a rough framework of what I want. Like Megan always says to me, imagine this, you know, you walk into this house, we look at a house to buy, and she'll go, yeah, but we take that wall out, do that, put a kitchen there, blah, blah, blah. I'm out. I can't see it. She can see it. It's all there in her head. Like artwork for me, designing something, I've got a rough idea what I want, but really if I'm going to sit there and wait until I've got it absolutely figured out in my head, forget it. Nothing will ever happen because I never get there. Paul.
How do you communicate those concepts because of the distance?
Okay, awesome. Well, now
Jing video.
yeah, now I've got Jing up. Everybody heard of Jing? Jing or Snagit? Please write that down. Andy sort of touched on it this morning. Please write it down because it is one of the most powerful tools you will ever use communicating with people. It is free on the internet. Type in jing.com. It is amazing. All right. What it is, you can see up behind me there. All right, actually, I'll escape that. See this little sun up here in the right-hand corner? That's our little Jing tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the crosshairs here, and
Step to your right. That's it.
cool. Well, my bum's in the way.
Massive.
Massive. Got me Superman nutties on today. Okay, say that this 3 logos, I want them moved in. I want the hand with the world over the other side and the Fiverr logo on the other side. Right? That's a pretty simple instruction to give. All right, but you know, pretend it's harder than that. What I do is I've got these crosshairs I can change. Click on there and drag and highlight that area. Now we all know what a screenshot is. Yeah, this is a screenshot on steroids. We can actually video this. So what we can then do, once we've highlighted that area, we've got some options. We can capture an image, which is like a screenshot, and then we can save it as a JPEG. It's just a still image. All right, we want to go another step further than that. We want to create a video. We want to capture a video which will not only show what's happening on the screen inside that little area, it will also capture our audio. Example. So gives us a countdown. Yeah, hi Job. What I'd like you to do is get this logo here and reverse it and move it over to the right hand side. And then with this Fiverr logo, what I'd like you to do is just place it right back over here. Keep them about the same height. And yeah, if you could do that in the next 20 minutes, that'd be great. Thanks, mate. Finish. All right, cool. Pretty simple. Yeah, hi John. What I'd like you to do is get this logo here and reverse it and move it over to the right hand side. And then with this Fiverr logo, what I'd like you to do is what's happening place it right back over here. Keep them about the same height. And yeah, if you could do that in the next. What's happening is we're not only getting the visual instructions, we're getting auditory instructions. The power of that is amazing.
But you might want to go onto Google Images, for instance, and find some logos that you like the look of, and then actually go onto the Google Images and say, hey, I like this logo, and you just follow the mouse and scroll down the page, and you know what I mean? So you're giving it, or you might find websites that you already like, and you actually jump on someone else's website and do that capture and say, I love this, but I want this on this side, and change it all around. So you can, you know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It allows you to actually scroll through your whole computer while it's videoing it. So you can go
Okay.
from one file to the next,
Yep.
pull that out, talk about it, and basically it just captures the screen, video screenshot of your whole, what's in that box.
Yeah, it's whatever's in the box. So this is something I probably didn't explain very well. So thanks for bringing it up, guys. Whatever's in that box, it will record. So not just what's there now. So I've just highlighted it again, and I'll go capture a video once again. So you can continue working on it whilst it's recording. So okay, so here's this area. I want you to move this logo over to there and vice versa. But then what I'll do, I'll just continue playing. I wonder if that's going to work, Andy. Maybe not. Okay, then you can scroll through. Okay, and then it's actually capturing everything that's on the screen there. And you can keep working through. And with these faces, I'd like you to take the images and move them over to the right-hand side and move this over to the left. With the next slide, I want you to get rid of that video and just have the text center all that information. So whatever is on that screen is now getting captured. All right? Our guys at Smith & Sons use it for sales. They will have an image of a house that wants to get renovated, and they will maybe talk through it. Maybe give us an example, Tom, of how you've used Jing.
Yeah, well, basically if we've got a flat plan and we want to discuss items in it with the client or the architect, we'll take a screenshot of it, or we'll set the plans up, all the plans up at the side like that Steve's got, and we'll go from one plan to the next, and we'll discuss every item that we've got queries with, as opposed to sort of trying to write emails, talking to people on the phone, and yeah, we flick that off, we keep a copy, the owners keep a copy, and it's
Yeah, away we go.
everyone's been wrapped in the idea every time I've seen it.
What you're doing is you're showing another level of professionalism when you're dealing with your customers. Even when you deal with your staff. Andy uses this a lot, I think, in Lifestyle Tradie when doing instructional videos.
That's really my because you
Yeah.
how to operate it?
Yeah, you mean for our customers?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't, but you could certainly do that. You could have a video there to do that, but mainly it's for our team. But say, for instance, our office manager that does all our books as well, she's got systems with MYOB that she goes through, and it's just all captured, everything she does. So it just makes it so easy.
Yeah.
And how do you store it? Like where?
You can store it in a place called, it's mental blank.
Screencast.
Yeah, Screencast, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's your information, so it's actually, no one else can get to it, obviously.
It's actually like a library.
But then we put it on the intranet. Remember I was explaining our intranet? That's what we had our own. We wanted our own.
And the beauty of Jing is that if you try and send this file, so this is probably, I don't know, I'll save it. So what we're going to do is we're going to upload it to Screencast. It will tell me in the top right hand corner there how big that file is. So if that's 18 meg big, that file, you don't want to email that to anybody. Because imagine them getting an 18 meg file, especially a customer that you're trying to win their business. You're on the back foot already.
Most of the time they won't even get it.
Well, exactly. It'll bounce back because it's far too big. So that's it's only a little one. It's only 3.4 meg, but we'll just let that go. What that is now doing is packaging that video up, sending it off to what Andy said, screencast.com. Don't get too confused with the names. It doesn't matter. It's now sending it up to screencast.com, which is your library. So you've got a username and password. So you can do videos all day. Use your username and password and you can get access to this library of videos. The real beauty of it, and it's doing it now, is that when you send it to a customer, you don't want to send a 3.4 meg file. Once it's uploaded to screencast.com, you can go on, it will give you a link. It's a URL. You copy the URL, you stick it in your email saying, "Dear David, here is a proposal I've done for you regarding your house at 15 Joseph Street, Bulli, and the renovation you want to do." If you click on this link, you can watch a quick 3-minute video that I've done for you. What then happens is they don't need to have Jing at their end. They will just click on the link, it will send them through to the video. And then they will watch that video. We've won contracts on the strength of this alone. All right, we're not even talking about this, are we? We're talking about outsourcing. But anyway, this is Jing. This is really valuable. You should know about Jing. If you're not using it, use it. In tomorrow, if you're here for your 90-day action plan, if you're not using Jing now, I would highly recommend that you put down use Jing in your 90-day action plan. Whatever happens, I will guarantee you it will make you more money. That's a guarantee. All right, so that's... All right, so I think...
Just play these slides.
Play these slides?
Yeah.
Your master delegator, see?
If you go, just go down about 4 or 5 slides in. Yep. Geez, master delegator.
Do you want me to hold the microphone for you? Yeah.
There we go. So here, I've had some slides I sent through to Steve. So he's got them up. So here's just some of the things that they can do for you. Now, I will comment on the writing articles. Now, for those of you that don't know, with websites, you need to be writing more content constantly, okay? Now, if you have a look at my Dr. Drip website and go to the front page, you'll see that we've got around about 6 buttons on the front of the page, which goes through to say block drains, hot water, emergency. All the front page, all those 6 buttons have all been written by us, and we've also got suburbs for that website as well. They've all been written by us. The reason I say that is because they're keywords that if someone's searching, when they come to my website, the average person will see. Okay, but then I've also got blogs. We've got 300 pages, so there's probably 260 pages that no one. Well, you can find them if you look, but when someone wants a plumber, they just want a phone number and know you're credible, and away you go. So I use our team to outsource to write content for me. If you find that content, you will laugh at how crap it is. But you know what? Unless you want to sit on my website and scroll through it to find it. Google loves it because it's new content going every week. Makes sense?
But it's not, people don't find it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're building new houses, see, that's the difference between me. My average dollar sale for our maintenance jobs is about $750, But look at guys building renovations on new houses. It could be $1 million house. Well, if you're doing new houses, someone would sit on your website for maybe a day going through what you do.
Yeah.
But for a plumber, they're lucky to go through 2 pages.
But Google love it.
Google
That's the big thing.
absolutely loves it.
Yeah. Give me an idea, guys, and I'd love everybody to tell me. What are some of the things you hate doing in your business? Data entry. Oh my God. VA. Data entry. Give me another one.
Quoting.
Quoting.
Typing up my own books.
Typing books. So,
A talking to do a book.
yeah. So we can transcribe. You send it to the Philippines, or so we got the Odesk and the Elance. So these ones here, you want something transcribed if you've done something amazing and recorded it. So these videos that we've done today, I could package them up, send them to the Philippines and say, or actually what I'd probably do is put it on Odesk or Elance, which is elance.com or odesk.com. Has everybody heard of these? No? Okay, great. These are websites where you go to if you want a task done. We've got our own virtual assistants. If you don't want to get a full-time virtual assistant, you will then outsource it to somewhere like Odesk or Elance.
Somebody like Elance. Now we're going to have a quick look just to make you understand. If you wanted to get a website built, there is 137,800 programmers around the world ready to do it for you now. Pretty cool. Mobile developers, 14,700, designers, writers, marketers. So in the last 30 days, there have been 87,000 jobs posted and payments of 688,000. It's a big company, guys. And there's a lot of, and what happens is when you go online, you can actually post a job, then people bid for your job, and they actually have star ratings from previous customers, give them ratings. So you can pick the good ones.
Yep. And what happens is sorry Grant, just for 2 seconds, what happens is you will actually say, I'm prepared to pay $1,000 to get my book transcribed, all right? Because your voice. So you've recorded 4 hours of voice using your computer, and you've sent that through and said, I want all that transcribed, and it'll probably come back as a 60-page book. I'm prepared to pay $1,000 for someone to do that. $1,000 is pretty good. Otherwise, you're doing it, it's going to take you 2 weeks. So $1,000. Then someone will go, yes, I'm prepared to do that job for $1,000. Then someone else will come in, I'm prepared to do that for $950. Then what happens is there's a reverse auction to all these guys around the world to get your job. So you might, but someone comes in at $200. No. Righto, there's ridiculous and there's reasonable.
If you pay crap, you get crap.
Yeah.
So you still need to pay, but it's still so much cheaper than here.
Who knows how to use eBay? Or who's used eBay before? Yep. You know how you get the star ratings when you buy off someone? If you're going to buy a fishing rod off someone, you have a look. Say, is this guy dodgy? If he's got half a star and bad rankings, then you go, not a chance, I'm going to get ripped off. But it's the same with these websites. If they've got 5 stars, you can do all the research in the world to look at them. If they've got great comments and they've quoted $400 to transcribe your book, there's no hassles. You can actually see how many negative comments they've got, how many positive comments they've got. If they've got no negative comments, you've got no risk. Actually, there's probably always inherent risk with it, but you're taking a lot of it off the table by checking out their star rating. Yeah.
Can I say something on Odesk? So you can also track where they are with your work.
Yes. Yeah. You'll give them miles.
You can pay
Yeah.
a little bit, and then you can do a bit more, and then you can pay in the end until when it's finished. So you
Yeah.
can track it.
That's a wonderful point. There's an escrow system in these things, all right? So say you get to still $1,000 to do that book for you. You don't want to pay $1,000 to this guy over in, could be India, Bangladesh, could be anywhere, Russia. I've worked with a guy in Russia before, done a great job. You say, well, I don't want to fund that, he might just take off. So what happens is you send money to this website. This holds the funds for you. The other person, Andy, sees that I've sent the funds here, so he will start the job. those funds don't get released till Andy says, I'm satisfied. He has reached a certain milestone within that task. And then I'll say, well, there's 250 of the 500. And I'll release the final amount when I'm happy with the final job. So it actually eliminates a lot of risk. Yeah? So typing books, these things. Anything else? What are some of the other things you want to outsource in your business or that you don't like doing?
I was going to say, I just got a
Sorry,
database built
Yes.
and want it done on a Mac
Yep.
program, which is like Access.
Yep.
And I was talking to a guy here who I know who does Microsoft stuff, but he said, I quoted a job for someone, it was $2,000 a day to get it built, probably a couple of days of work.
Yep.
Right, wait a minute here. I just got it done, a guy did it, was going to do it for $400, I ended up giving him $500 because he did a little bit extra. It was like
Where'd you get it done?
freelancer.
Freelancer. Yeah. Freelancer, Elance, Odesk. Yep.
The other thing with Odesk I know people have used is that you can track when they've worked on your file. So if you're getting them to type and they say, oh, I've been working on it, blah, 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 you can actually know when they've opened the file and closed the file so you can keep track.
Yeah.
I mean, something we've got to keep in mind though, I mean, I wouldn't outsource overseas, not to the Philippines, not anywhere, any e-commerce work to do with the online store. Do you know, because if they put any code in the payment module or whatever, that can just destroy my company in a couple of days. Bang, there goes $1 million worth of online revenue.
Yeah, you've
Just-
got to be
You've got to be careful. You've
really
got to have
disciplined.
to pay for things like that, you know.
Yeah.
And like, you're not going to get an Indian to proofread for you. You know?
Yeah. So it's obviously using common sense that that rule applies.
That's it.
You don't want to be, yeah,
I mean, I was
throwing a lot of
using
stuff
Google
offshore.
Calendar as well that you were talking about earlier on.
Yep.
Until it vanished. You want to try contacting someone if Google Calendar vanishes. Like, it doesn't matter that I had 4 clinics that were all using it. All of a sudden, half of the calendars were gone, so they just had to show up to work,
Yeah.
and wait for clients to work in, and then walk in, and then go and find their files, and then deal with each client. It turned
Yeah.
into a frigging nightmare. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I've moved away from that system now, and basically all the points that you've put in there earlier on tasks, lists, briefcase for transferring files between the company. We use an open source program which we've contributed a lot of code to called Zimbra.
Yep.
And which we find really good. It covers all those areas and into, you know, it looks at your email server, it's absolutely everything.
And I think that's an interesting point. I know it's another level, but you're right. I mean, technology's fantastic when it's going well, you know, and we all know when it's absolutely crap. But you know, I wouldn't run my business on Google Calendars. Myself personally, we use a CRM that we've got control of, you know. But
it's all about size, isn't it? Economies of scale. You look at what works for a 3-person operator.
It's a great progressional thing though, to get people started on it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, get away from that paper and, you know, start to implement that into, because that's how we've all gotten to where we are.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
who are using those top end products.
Absolutely.
You know, just, you know, baby steps, start with your Google Calendars and that, but don't rely on it, because when it does fall over, they just close their doors. Like there was thousands of posts in a minute, people going,
well, everyone says about going to the cloud. Okay, everyone's like, let's go to the cloud, let's go to the cloud, let's go to the cloud. Well, the cloud's great, but Amazon lost data last year. Well, imagine if you lost your data. Well, it would ruin my business because I've collected it for 7 years. So what did we do? Well, we've gone to the cloud, but now we have a black box in our office, which is just like a freaking server. So now we've got the double control. So we have the data in our office and we've also got it in the cloud.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
makes good sense, doesn't it?
Which is another server, you know?
It's the key where you back up.
Yeah.
It's the safety of where you...
It is. So if we lost one, then we've still got the other. And I think data's the power of a lot of things. So I you know, and I'm a bit old school too, so I really worry about losing that stuff. So just got to be a bit careful with it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point.
Another one on the outsourcing side of things, from a legal government regulation, community transfer, staff payments and so forth.
Yep.
Lots of pieces of paper to fill in. Pay these people. And
Well, there's never, you know, to be honest, the legalities, I don't really know what it is, but pretty much it's all online and away you go and nothing's said. I mean, that's just what happens.
Yeah, we get a PayPal
You know.
invoice.
okay.
We go, pay,
Yep.
done.
It's like
Every
buying
fortnight.
overseas, I suppose, not paying GST on it.
Yeah,
For your VAs, you just.
that's
pay
VAs, yeah.
right,
They've got to
right,
generate an invoice through PayPal for us.
Right.
Most times they do it on time, don't they, love?
I think the difference is, so Steve talks a lot about VAs, and that's what he's had he's been doing VAs,
That's right.
and I think VAs are amazing, and it depends on what you want. So obviously, if you don't want a VA, you go down to Elance and Odesk for doing smaller projects. If you do want a VA and you want to have someone more full-time, then obviously you go down the idea of what Steve has done and having someone full-time. The problem that you can have with that is you never know when they're at work or they're not at work. A lot of the times they do run 2 or 3 businesses at the same time. It's a well-known fact in the Philippines.
Yeah.
But with us, with an office, they turn up on time, they're there all day, we know exactly what's going on at all times. But, you know, then you have your other, I wouldn't say downfalls, but, you know, they have about 10 more public holidays a year than us.
I love
And
a
like
public holiday.
every time you turn around, freaking public holiday. And then there's other insurance, and after 12 months of service, you need to pay them a month's. It's called a third. I mean, you probably know it more than me, but it's called a 13-month something or other. So it's almost like a month bonus after 12 months. So there's a lot of other things that come in and creep in.
Yeah.
So they didn't have that? No.
All right. So tell me, what's something in your business? What's something you'd like to outsource? I'll tell you if you can do it or not.
We have our systems, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So nothing.
We're a bit different. You know.
Yeah. Yep.
Payroll, now, I know we just said payroll is really risky and stuff. I know
Yep.
Woolworths has outsourced its entire payroll to New Zealand.
Right.
But you think, why on earth there? Well, there's a currency advantage.
Yeah.
No GST.
Yep.
And there's a time difference because it's 3 hours ahead.
Right.
So they get the ability to produce stuff and get it done before they come to work the next day.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's just a different.
It's interesting. Yeah. What about you guys? Is there anything you guys could think of in your business that you could outsource? Because it's all about being streamlined. It's all about doing things more efficiently. Nothing really like graphics or there's phone calls or... No, not really.
Ford yesterday just basically announced it's going to be outsourcing its production.
Yeah.
Who here as business owners listening to us now is cringing saying this sucks? It should be kept in Australia. Put up your hand.
Yeah?
But
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, it's not. And I think it sucks too.
Yeah.
But you know what? Who here buys some Audi? Everyone, it's the way the world is these days. Everyone wants the cheapest and the best, and to get the cheapest, then you've got to go looking for it, hey?
Yeah, that's cool, Stephen. I'll tell you, but my outsourcing of IT has enabled me to employ another salesperson, which I wouldn't have been able to. You know, that has generated me income through not having to pay big dollars to an IT company, to graphics companies, and by having speed to market as well. Remember, everybody I think in this room is in a competitive industry. We're all playing the game, and this here is about playing the game at a higher level and a better level. Speed to market is key. To do that efficiently with cost is even more important. So I do that, and because I've done that here, I've then got to add more people over here on the ground to go out and sell it because there's a need here. Yeah, so outsourcing, yeah, it depends which way you look at it. But the way I look at it is that it solves a problem for me in one area, which I can then concentrate. Yeah.
You're outsourcing an inefficient area of your business and you're then producing at a higher level of an efficient area.
Yeah, and I need to be in business. I've got a family to feed, which really at the end of the day, that's the game.
Yeah. Emma.
I just wanted to say one last thing. The last guy who I had for transcribing some audio, he was in the UK, so perfect English. In fact, he was a uni student. It was awesome. But I would send it the night before and wake up, and it was in my inbox.
Yeah.
So time difference UK, brilliant.
Yeah.
We still outsource to other countries. So the thing is, even though I'm outsourcing to the Philippines, not everything's got to be done in the Philippines. A lot of our content writing is in England. But our content writing in England still has England, it's still not fantastic. And you'll find that, like a lot of the times you go to build a website now in Australia, it's being outsourced. A lot of the times you do a lot of things that's being outsourced, but you're just paying a premium for it because you're not doing it. That's it.
Yeah. Can you think of anything else in your businesses?
Newsletters.
Yeah, that's what I use.
Newsletters.
I'll run through everything and I get done. Get newsletters done.
Yeah.
Okay, the VA does the newsletter, which then she does all my social media feeds, so that gives her the content for that.
Yeah.
At the same time as she's doing the newsletter, she's educating herself on my business, so she's going to become more and more handy as far as telephone reception after hours and all that sort of thing goes. So She also does all my WordPress stuff on the website, article writing or outsourcing. She actually outsources for me, so I'll get her to go onto Fiverr and to get some articles organised for next month's treatment focus. She does the basic graphic design for those brochures for the next month's treatment focus, and then she outsources that to another VA that I've got who does all my graphic design work, and she's in Romania, so a bit more affordable there than America for graphic design work, you know. Generally, you're up for about $20 an hour in America. You're up for about $5 an hour in Romania.
Yeah.
What's your business?
I've got quite a few. But Skin Revival, sort of the main one, which is skincare online plus skin and laser clinics.
.com.au.
Social media.
So there's a social media aspect to it as well. Yeah. So getting content.
Yep.
Is that something that you were going to talk about finding content to put on websites, or?
Oh, I think we talked about it a bit earlier, to be honest. But, you know, the content, if you want really killer content, then write it yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very hard to get a lot of other people to write content. Or you can get people in Australia to do it as well. But we had a lady, $20 for 500 words, but then she was just sending it overseas herself, and then she was proofreading it. But still, the content wasn't that great.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's people out there that can do it, but just what you want to pay and what you want to do.
Yeah.
But with websites, I mean, that's the killer. You don't always need the best content, and that's probably where, you know. But you don't have the time to write it yourself. Social media we talked about with Facebook. I mean, I think your own personal profile, you'll be very careful with who you give that to. But you know, with Dr. Drip, we have them drip feeding, but doing videos and so forth on there for us as well. So, you know.
Yeah. One last thing, I know we're going to wrap it up very shortly. You draw 3 columns on your page, and you look at things that are core critical to your business that you could never outsource, that are so important. You put them here. You look at things in your business which you sort of think, well, they're sort of important, but it's not that important that I do it. You put them here. And then you look at things in your business that you actually absolutely despise doing, that you don't want to do and you know that you shouldn't even have to do it. They take up your time. It's not actually that core critical that you do it. It's probably important that someone does it. And what you'd want to do is put them here. And you start to make lists of things in these 3 columns. These are the things you do. Absolutely core critical, you need to do it. You get your top 50 customers, you're the one that's going to make those phone calls. You would never, ever outsource that. That personal contact with your top 50 is always the boss's job, in my opinion. Then you look at these areas here, which you sort of think, well, okay, there's, just using customer contact as an example. Well, then there's other customers who have dealt with you perhaps once, and you think, well, okay, well, maybe we need someone to contact them, to maybe talk to them, see if the transaction went well and everything else, and if they're happy to maybe come back and if we can possibly upsell to them. You can outsource that a little bit, but I'd probably do that with your Australian team. But then you look at stuff in here, which might be your emails out to people, cold calling, or maybe not cold calling, but maybe just you've got a database and you want to send emails out to people, touches. All right, you generate the email, but you don't want to send it out to everybody. That's going to take a full day to send it out to 500 people.
And cleansing the database, it's old and you want to get rid of and data entries and just update it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sits in here. Outsource some of this stuff. Be a little bit creative and say, well, I don't want to do this stuff. If nothing changes, guys, nothing changes. If you want to keep doing this stuff, that's fine. But that's going to restrict the amount of growth you're going to have within your business. Because you get tied down in doing these things that aren't that important to your business that you have to do them. This is what you want to concentrate on, because this here gets neglected because of this here. And this here takes probably more time. And less value, true. So it's all about reassessing what you do. And a good example is you track what you do in a week, and you look at the things you do within a week, and then you say, well, I don't need to do that, I don't need to do that, yes, I need to do that, don't need to do that. And then you start to move things around and give them to other people.
Well, we'll have to say, though, that for the people that we know that have been using VAs, that have got good VAs and are really happy with them, they're getting 4 or 5 times the amount of work done than they could do by themselves.
Yeah.
So you've only got to look at that, and it's killer.
And they're getting tremendous results. And that's why I thought this would be really valuable. Even if you don't I really want you to start and investigate it. If you don't go out and do it, at least you've got an awareness of it. You can always come and ask me any questions you want at any time. You all know where I am. If I don't know it, I'll find the answer. I'll talk to Andy. Andy's got his offices there, and he's actually probably a little bit more advanced than I am. But whatever you guys want to know, I'm here for you. Don't just sit back and think, well, I don't know the answer. I'm a resource. Utilise me.
We're a resource collectively.
Yeah,
We all use it together.
absolutely. Yeah. So, is there any more questions about outsourcing? Yes, Paul?
Where do we find the right sort of VA?
All right.
Right, you know, are they under the yellow pages? No.
Yeah.
Where do you go?
Well, obviously, there's been Chris Ducker that I know that Steve's had some touched a bit with, and I think he's done a video or something for you. But yeah, you show that later, or
Anybody need to get home that I can show you a quick 5-minute video? Yeah? All right. This guy's Chris Ducker. He's actually based in the Philippines. His company is virtualstafffinder.com. So if you want to find a virtual assistant, actually that model I just did then is actually Chris's. He actually owns a company. He's a POM. He actually went over to the Philippines and started up his own business, which is Virtual Staff Finder. He's now got access to virtual staff. So they all send their resumes into Chris, his company, and then you contact virtualstafffinder.com with and say, these are my requirements for a virtual staff member. What Chris's team will then do, he'll go and find 3 matches for what is suitable to what your requirements are. He will then send 3 resumes through to you if you're interested. You can then have a Skype conversation with those 3 applicants. It's just like employing anybody here. But yeah, we'll watch the video, and then any questions afterwards, we can have a chat.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris, founder of Virtual Staff Finder, good friend of Steve's. Look, I know we can look a little bit dodgy.
Dodgy.
Dodgy. I know I can talk a little bit dodgy.
What did you just say, Chris?
He's a southerner and a northerner. Massive difference, that me calling him Kiwi. No offence to anyone.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris, founder of Virtual Staff Finder, good friend of Steve's. Look, I know he can look a little bit dodgy from time to time, but he is a very smart bloke, and he's that smart actually when it comes to outsourcing or finding virtual assistants or anything VA related. He comes to me, and I've lived here in the Philippines for 12 years. I've been in the outsourcing industry for about 10, and Steve asked me to shoot this very quick video to give you a few sort of tips and tactics and a few notes on outsourcing, what it can do for your business. I'm actually going to give you a little bit of an exercise right at the end of the video, so get your notepads and your pens and your iPads or whatever pads ready so you can make some notes. So basically there's 2 main reasons why, as a small business owner, you should be outsourcing, you should be working with virtual assistants. The first one is to really leverage your time properly. Now, as small business owners, we pretty much suffer from what I call superhero syndrome. And that means that we think that we're better than anyone else in the entire universe. We think we can do everything better, we can get everything done a lot faster, and so on and so on. Now, in a perfect world, that would be the case, but we don't live in a perfect world, as we all know. And superhero syndrome is literally sucking the life out of entrepreneurs all around the world. So you must look at using VAs to really be able to leverage your time properly. Because time, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, is our most valuable commodity. It's not like money. With money, it comes and goes. You can make it, you spend it, you lose it, you invest it. It is what it is. But with time, once you've spent that time or invested that time, it's gone forever. So you must leverage your time as much as possible. The second reason why you should be considering outsourcing in your business is because, quite frankly, we are in the global economy nowadays. A buzzword you hear all the time, but the fact of the matter is that there are very, very skilled workers all around the world that can help you run, support and grow your business a lot easier and a lot faster, and probably, let's face it, with a lot better results than if we try and do it all ourselves. So look at literally capitalizing on all that skill that's around the world as well, and you can do that through working with virtual assistants. So what I want to do is give you this little exercise that I mentioned right at the beginning of the video. So get those notepads and those pens ready, because I'm going to ask you to literally get a piece of paper and draw 2 lines down the middle, creating 3 columns. Okay? This is what I call my 3 lists to freedom. And Steve has done it before, and I know it helped him ridiculously. So hopefully it'll help you as well. Column number 1 is a list of everything.
So this is what we just went through now, so I don't know if we have to go through it all again.
Every day as business owners that you just hate. These are tasks that when you
Just
think
wanna watch
about
that?
them, you literally vomit in your mouth and have
Same as that. It's exactly the same. It's a good model, and it gives you a good idea of what, just things
So
you need to take off the table.
Yeah, so let's sort of wrap
I think so.
up where we're at. So you've got a choice. You can either go on to Odesk and Elance and you can get someone on there to do part-time work for you. Otherwise, you can use someone like a Chris Ducker for virtual assistants.
Yep.
Otherwise, you can use like managed staff. That's what we're sort of doing in our office for the future is one of you guys might say, I want a full-time staff member, and we'll say, fine, what do you need? We'll do the advertising, we'll try and find the clients for you, we'll sit them in our office for you, we'll buy the desk, we'll buy the computer, and obviously it's there. We make sure they turn up on time, we make sure they go home on time, or maybe work back, but go home pretty much on time, and we manage them for you. But you need to give them the work. So if they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs all day, as a company, we don't take control of that. That's up to you.
Yeah.
So there's 3 different ways you can go about doing that.
Yeah. All right. It's been awesome, guys. Thank you so much.